I'd just like to speak a little bit about anxiety. As somebody that's suffered from anxiety for pretty much all of my life, I think it was noticeable in me at the age of 3. And I feel pretty disturbed by the idea that 500 children a day in the UK are being referred to mental health services with anxiety. I just would like to share some experience in the hope that it may help somebody. I think a lot of the anxiety that I was experiencing, I know it's the same for many other people, was the environment of their family. My family were under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. They had a lot going on. They couldn't cope very well, and I think that made my environment feel not very safe. Unfortunately, I discovered things like smoking and alcohol and drugs to help manage it as I got older, but even though they gave me great relief in the short term, in the long term, it created more anxiety and more problems for me. And so I found recovery for myself. But in that recovery, I learned a lot of techniques, and I want to share some of them. My number one anxiety busting tip is make a list. Make a list of what's causing you anxiety. Make a list of what you're afraid of. Get it out of your head. Get it on paper in black and white, because that list is what you're going to need to start looking at and figuring out how to resolve each of them issues. And what I found is some environments are just not going to change. Some people are just not going to change. Some things in life are not going to change. And they are difficult and they are frightening. So I need to learn to accept them. I needed to take responsibility for my mental condition. And I needed to find better ways of managing my emotions. My number 2 anxiety busting tip is we've got to address as many of those fears and problems as possible on our list. And I've learned to do that with speaking to friends, speaking to family, speaking to professionals, speaking to people that can actually help me figure out how I can manage that problem better, how I can manage my thoughts better, how I can manage my emotions better. And so the third thing on the list is that I focused on my thinking. I realised that a lot of the anxiety was coming from my thinking. You know, environment is very important. That's what I call it, environmental. But the most important environment is in my head. What I think is what I feel. And so if I change my thinking, I change the way that I'm feeling. Now that sounds obvious, but it's easier said than done. It took a long time to be able to get control of my thinking, and in some areas I'm still working on it. I think one of the greatest tools was learning to meditate. Not necessarily even just the clearing your mind meditation, but learning to contemplate more positive things, to learning to consider situations and try and imagine them being different and imagine them playing out the way that I kind of more wanted them to. I could see myself not being angry in certain circumstances, and I made myself not angry. I could see myself not fearful in certain areas of my life and faced my fears. And it is amazing how, you know, like the book said, you face your fears and you do it anyway, and the fears start losing their grip. So guided meditation, contemplative meditation, really helped to reduce the anxiety, reduce the stress, and to just remove a lot of the unnecessary thoughts that I kept having repeating in my mind. Imagine every time you have a thought, imagine it puts a drop of adrenaline in your system. And imagine if you keep having that thought and the drops are building up, and before you know it, your body's flooded with adrenaline and you're full of anxiety. And so we have to turn that tap off. We have to stop that thinking. It's the thinking that's creating the anxiety. And so learning to meditate, learning to identify thoughts, learning to realise that I need to change the way I think. And the world doesn't make me feel. I make me feel. Again, the more I can take responsibility for my own well-being and not be constantly responding to the world. Like I say, some of them environments never change. It doesn't mean I have to be angry and full of anxiety all my life. I can change, and I don't have to keep responding to them. Listen, it's response ability. It's your ability to respond. It's not what happens to me in life. It's my response to what happens to me in life. It's when I think is what makes me feel. If I change the way I think, I change the way that I feel. So here's number 4 anxiety busting tip. Learn to breathe. I realised I wasn't breathing, and that turned into panic, having panic attacks, because I'm breathing very shallow, just at the top of my lungs. It's not a good way of breathing. It's like you're suffocating yourself, and you feel like you're suffocating because you are. So I learned to breathe properly, learned to fill my stomach with air, then fill my chest, let my lungs open, let my wings open, and breathe deeply. And again, you can Google and find a way of learning to breathe. That will really make a big difference in dealing with anxiety. Most people I know that suffer from anxiety have never learned to breathe properly. So learn to breathe properly. Number 5 anxiety busting tip is exercise. See, when you fill your body with adrenaline, it's meant to be there to help you fight with lions or run away. It is meant to create a physical response. So if you've been filling your body up with adrenaline, and look, try me on this. Just go for a run. Just get your heart beating fast till you feel a bit sick. Just 5, 10, 15 minutes, just till you feel sick. Get your heart beating. Your anxiety will go down at least 40%. And you make that a part of a practice. Learn to walk, learn to run, learn to exercise, because it helps you relax. And again, relaxing is an important part of this whole process. When you put all these processes together, you learn to relax. And when you're in a relaxed state, you'll be in a more happy state. We also know that sitting in ice cold water really helps, because it causes that it just starts changing the chemicals in your body. And my 6th and final anxiety busting tip is diet. You have to be honest. Be honest to yourself of what foods are causing you anxiety, what drinks are causing you anxiety. For me, too much coffee causes me anxiety. Eating too much sugar causes me anxiety. Drinking energy drinks causes me anxiety. Nicotine causes me anxiety. If you don't get this right, what we're talking about, and this is exhaustive, there's many things people can do. These are just a few tips. I'm pretty sure if you were doing these, it would at least bring your anxiety down by a massive percentage. But if you don't work it out in these kind of ways, people try and relax or get relief from their anxiety by drugs, whether they're prescribed by the doctor or you buy them off the street. Alcohol is an incredible anxiety remover. There's a big difference between just having a couple of drinks to relax with friends and have a good time than using it almost as a medication. And so what I find, if you don't find better solutions to these problems, you probably will take medication or try and self-medicate using legal drugs or illegal drugs. So hopefully this helps. This helps me. This stuff helps me. There's always more to learn, and I'm not saying I've got all the answers. I'm just saying if you're looking to reduce your anxiety, try this for a couple of weeks, and I'm pretty sure that it'll help you. If it does, tell us in the comments section that you tried it for a couple of weeks. Tell us the results. The last girl that went running, she said it was amazing how much it reduced her anxiety. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. Thank you.